Hey everyone, ready to dive into something kind of wild. We're talking AI and authorship today, and honestly, it's blowing my mind a little.
It's incredible, right? The speed of these technological advancements just makes you stop and think.
No kidding.
Yeah.
One minute AI is helping me pick out light bulbs online, the next we're debating if it deserves a byline on a novel. So we're diving into this AI in society research study, and it gets right to the heart of it all.
Absolutely, yeah. The researchers, they set up this really interesting experiment. They wanted to see how people feel about different levels of help, assistance in creative writing. So picture this. An author, they called him Lee, and he's using either a human or an AI assistant to write this novel.
Okay, I'm hooked already. Lay it on me.
So they changed up how much the assistant helped Lee at three different levels, like writing the whole novel, writing half, or just contributing maybe like one single page.
Sneaky. So did people see Lee differently as the author depending on who did what?
That's the thing. The amount of help Lee got mattered way more than who was helping. Whether it was a human or AI writing the whole book for him, people were less likely to see Lee as the real author.
That makes sense, right. My friend giving me notes isn't the same as them ghostwriting the whole thing.
Uh,
But did people see any difference between AI help and human help?
this is where it gets really wild. Even if the human and the AI contributed like the same amount to the novel, people consistently said the human deserved more credit.
Whoa, really? Okay, so there's some kind of bias going on here, like we just automatically value human creativity more. What's driving that, you think?
It's pointing to this human bias, right? It's like we're hardwired to value things made by humans more, even if AI can pull off something similar. Like you trust a handwritten note more than a typed one, even if they say the same thing.
This is like that whole thing with the AI art that won that photography competition.
Hmm.
People freaked out, even though the AI did most of the work. It's so interesting. So is AI ever going to overcome that bias? Can it ever be the author?
$1 million question, right? And the study really dug into this whole debate. Some folks, they see AI as just a tool, like, a hammer building a house. The hammer helps, but it doesn't get credit for the design.
Right, but AI is getting crazy advanced. Could it be more like a co-author someday, especially if it's doing a lot of the heavy lifting?
Exactly. And there wasn't any clear consensus in the study either, which reflects what's happening in the real world, too. People are conflicted. It shows we're still hardwired to want that human touch in creative work. Like only humans can have original thoughts and express themselves artistically.
Fascinating. Did they look at whether Lee had to tell people he was getting help, though? Like, does it matter if he came clean about the assistant?
Here's the thing. The type of assistant actually made a difference. People felt way more strongly that Lee should disclose using a human compared to an AI.
Seriously. Even if the AI wrote half the book. That's kind of wild. Why do you think that is?
It might be because of how we see collaboration. Like, we're used to seeing co-written with or research assistants from when humans work together. You don't see written by a team of monkeys with typewriters, even if they manage to bang out a sentence.
Okay, that's hilarious. So are you saying there's like a difference in how we think about disclosing human help versus AI help?
It seems that way. And the researcher suggests we might need new rules about disclosing AI assistants, especially as it's becoming more common.
New rules, huh? What happens as AI gets even smarter? Will we have robots demanding royalties for screenplays like in the movies?
Something to think about, right? But this study just shows how much we value that human touch in creativity. This idea that humans are the only ones who can truly be creative and express themselves. It's fascinating, really.
Back again with the deep dive. We're picking up right where we left off, talking all about AI authorship and what it means for the future of, well, creativity, right? Last time we were digging into that study, remember? The one where people basically said humans deserve all the credit for a novel, even if the AI did the same amount of work. Well,
Yeah, it's a real paradox. And don't forget, people felt more strongly that you had to disclose the human assistant, which is weird when you think about it.
totally. It's like
Yeah.
we're hardwired to want that human element in our creative stuff, even if we can't explain why. Makes you wonder, Like I rely on my editor a lot. Where do we even draw the line?
You hit the nail on the head there. That line is getting blurrier and blurrier. And, this study was about novels, but what about other stuff? Music, photography.
Right. Like, how is this whole AI authorship thing shaking up those worlds,
Yeah.
especially after that whole AI photography prize thing? That was crazy.
AI's everywhere now. Photography,
Yeah.
music, art, even screenwriting. It's
Hold
wild.
on. AI's writing movies now?
Yeah.
That's kind of amazing and terrifying.
There are already tools out there using AI to help writers. Brainstorming, dialogue, even predicting if a plot will work. It's pretty pretty sci-fi.
So AI is not just analyzing data anymore, it's actually creating new stuff, right? That's
Yeah.
they call generative AI, yeah.
Exactly. Think about ChatGPT. It's trained on tons of text and code, so it can basically talk like us, write like us, all from a prompt. Crazy, right?
Okay, so ChatGPT could theoretically write what?
Right.
A novel, a screenplay, this podcast script. That just makes this authorship thing even more complicated.
Yeah.
If you can't tell the difference, how do you decide who gets credit?
The million-dollar question, and it's getting tougher to answer. It's not just about the rules, it's about what it means to be human, to be creative in this AI world. It's big stuff.
It's like we're on the edge of this whole new era, and the lines are totally blurred. Exciting and scary at the same time. But are there concerns about AI? Making everything the same. Will all the art, the writing, start to feel too similar?
Some people worry about that, yeah.
Yeah.
That AI will just churn out stuff that's technically good, but missing that, soul.
But couldn't AI also help artists break out of their routines? What if it suggests an idea a human would never think of?
Exactly. It's not AI versus humans. It's figuring out how we can use AI ethically without crushing human creativity. That's the sweet spot.
So maybe instead of asking if AI can be an author, we should be asking how it can help us be better ones.
100%. Embrace the good, know the limitations, and set some ground rules about authorship and credit.
Yeah, because right now it's a free-for-all. We need some rules for this AI rodeo.
Totally. And those rules need to be flexible because this technology is changing so fast, it's moving at warp speed.
Speaking of evolving, we're barely scratching the surface of AI and creativity, right?
Yeah.
But let's get real for a sec. What does this actually mean for the publishing world? Next time on the Deep Dive, we're going deeper, looking at how AI authorship is changing things for writers, readers, and everyone in between.
And most importantly, how you can navigate this whole ethical creative maze in your own life. It's going to be a wild ride.
Don't miss it. And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into AI authorship. We've talked about the research, the ethics, even those robot screenwriters taking over Hollywood. But now, let's bring it all home. What does this AI revolution really mean for the future of creativity, like practically speaking?
Right. We're kind of shifting gears now from those big existential questions to the real world. Like, imagine opening your favorite author's next book, and it was actually ChatGPT doing the writing. What would that feel like?
It's already happening though, right?
Yeah.
Authors using AI to get unstuck, come up with plot twists, even write whole chapters. Part of me is curious, I'm not going to lie. But then there's this other part. Like, how do we even know if we're reading something written by a human anymore?
And that's the issue, isn't it? There's no rule book for disclosing AI help in books. Some authors are upfront, mentioning it in their acknowledgments or interviews, but others, they stay quiet.
So it's kind of like the Wild West out there. Everyone's making their own rules. That's confusing, especially for readers.
It's a minefield. And not just for authors, for publishers too. Imagine getting this amazing manuscript, but you think, wait a minute, did a human actually write this? Do you publish it and risk people freaking out? Or do you reject it and maybe miss out on the next bestseller? Tough call.
Talk about a dilemma. It sounds like publishers need like an official guidebook or something for dealing with this whole AI authorship thing. What's the solution here?
Some publishers are putting clauses in their contracts now, making authors tell them if they've used AI. But it's still the early days. Plus, even the technology for detecting AI writing, it's still got a ways to go.
It's like the publishing world is trying to catch up while this AI train is speeding along.
Yeah.
But what about the readers? Do people even care if there's AI involved in their books?
That's the million-dollar question. And, the research we talked about, it seems like people care about the creativity, the effort, the human perspective. They want that connection.
So if they found out their favorite author used AI for like half the book, they'd feel cheated.
Potentially, right. Especially if they felt like the author wasn't being honest. It could feel like a betrayal.
That makes me think about art too. Like, imagine buying a painting you thought a human made, but then you discover it was mostly AI. Changes how you see it, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We see art as this deeply human thing. Knowing a person poured their heart and soul into it, that's part of the magic. When AI enters the picture, it complicates things.
So it's not just about what we're reading or seeing, but the story behind it. The
Yeah.
blood, sweat, and tears, the artist's vision.
Exactly. Transparency and ethics are so important now, more than ever. It's about using this tech to help us express ourselves better, not to replace us or make us feel like our creativity doesn't matter.
This has been such a fascinating conversation. It really feels like we're at this turning point.
Yeah.
The line between human creativity and what AI can do, it's blurring.
Yeah.
What does that future even look like? How do we make sure everyone's being honest?
It's a future full of potential, but we gotta be smart. We gotta talk about these issues and be open about what's going on.
Absolutely. This deep dive has given us a lot to think about. It's a new era, that's for sure. As we figure out what AI can do, we can't forget what makes us human. Thanks for joining us as we explored the wild world of AI authorship. Keep those brains buzzing, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.
And hey, keep the conversation going. We want to know your thoughts on AI authorship. Hit us up on social media.